Hey, this is attorney Elizabeth Potts-Weinstein, and today we're going to be talking about when is a corporation actually better than an LLC. Generally speaking, I recommend LLCs for most situations because it's less paperwork and you have more flexibility regarding your tax status. But it is not the right solution for every situation. So let's break that down a bit. Number one, there are certain states where forming and running an LLC is strangely a lot more expensive than a corporation. Wherever you're planning to form your legal entity, you want to look at what are the fees in that state. What are the formation fees and what are the ongoing fees? So for example, in the state of New York, forming an LLC is a lot more expensive than forming a corporation because in LLC you have to do publishing of your LLC for some bizarre reason in legal newspapers. The last time I did that for a client, it cost almost $1,000. I mean, just ridiculous, okay? So in New York State, we usually form a corporation instead. Number two, there are certain benefits, loans, programs that are structured for corporations to be involved, and they kind of like don't know how to handle LLCs, probably because of some old school reasoning or theory that they understand corporations and they don't get LLCs. One example of this is back when COVID-19 first started, there were all these programs that were available for businesses to help keep us afloat, different loans and grants and things that were available. Generally speaking, corporations got access to that weeks, if not months, before LLCs. That makes no sense why that was true, but that's just what the government did. So you need to think about what are you planning to do with your business? And is it going to be in an area, a lot of times it's government stuff, sometimes it's financing things, where that entity, that kind of old school, old-fashioned entity is going to be much more easily able to deal with you as a corporation than if you form an LLC. The third reason is kind of related to this. Anytime you're dealing with some kind of person or organization who understands corporations and is used to them versus LLCs are just weird. I already talked about the government stuff, and that's one of the places, and kind of more old-fashioned industries. The other place are people outside the United States. LLCs do not exist all over the world, but corporations do exist all over the world. And generally speaking, people in other countries are going to know what a corporation is. But an LLC is going to be this odd thing they may not have heard of before because they don't have that in their own country. They may have other forms that we don't have here, but that's something you're going to have to explain to somebody, and especially if you're translating it to another language, it can be difficulties that you don't need. And if you have a corporation, you don't have to deal with that hassle. The fourth is if you're planning to be a S Corp or even more a C corporation from the very beginning, you don't need the tax flexibility thing. You don't need to be able to have an LLC taxed as a sole proprietorship or an LLC taxed as a partnership. You're going to have to be taxed as an S Corp or a C Corp from the beginning. So maybe the benefits of having an LLC with that tax flexibility doesn't apply to you. You may still want to do it because you want to reduce your paperwork both at the beginning and then ongoing, but the tax stuff you don't need. The fifth reason is if you're just used to it. There's nothing wrong with a corporation, okay? I have clients where they've been in business for decades and they formed corporations in the past and they know how to do their annual minutes and all the paperwork is something that's straightforward for them. So they don't want to do something new like an LLC, which still does have some paperwork. They want to keep with what they know because it makes sense. If you've done this forever, you already know how to do it. It's very efficient for you. Learning something new doesn't necessarily make sense unless you need those benefits. So if you're perfectly comfortable with the paperwork of a corporation, then that's totally fine. And the last reason number 6, is if you're going to be pitching venture capital or other angel funding, you may want to be a C Corp, specifically a Delaware C Corporation. That's kind of the standard for what VCs or angel funding is looking for because the structure for how the investment will work and what their shares will be and all that stuff is it's almost templates and forms at this point. So if that's your goal for your business is VC angel funding, it probably makes sense to just go ahead and be a Delaware C Corporation so you don't have to change it up later. One resource for you if you're planning to do that is clerky.com. that's a place where they have all those things in forms and templates, all the paperwork that you're going to need so you can set up your C corporation in Delaware and be ready to pitch VC. Again, this is attorney Elizabeth Potts Weinstein. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more content like this, and join as a member of the channel to help support the channel so I can make more videos like this in the future. If you have any questions about what I've talked about today, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.